Hey there, everybody. Pete Pardo here. Welcome to another edition of What's Hot with Sea of Tranquility. Today, we're going to take a quick little look at a book that I just got done reading, which I kind of had to review here on the channel, even though it's a few years old, as a kind of thank you to Carmine Appice, who was so gracious enough to come on our show, not once, but twice, to talk about what's going on with him and, all sorts of things relating to the life of Carmine Appice, right? Well, he kept telling me, it's like, you got to read my book, you got to read my book. So I read the book. So here it is. Carmine Appice, along with Ian Gittins, Stick It. Okay? My Life of Sex, Drums, and Rock and Roll. And with a little foreword by Rod Stewart. Not a huge book. It's roughly about 235 pages. Okay? And it's, just kind of take a quick look through the book here. Nice, easy read. And it's got a section of photographs right about in the middle. You got some shots of Carmine as a youngster. Originally said his name, or the original pronunciation. All right, so he actually says it in here. So originally, the family, who were all from New York, right? Carmine's a New Yorker, pronounced their last name Appice, much like Vinny says his name. But the problem is, a lot of people in the music industry, when he was younger, first getting out in bands like the Vanilla Fudge and Cactus, everybody was saying the name wrong. So he just said, you know what, we're just going to pronounce it Appice. And that's what he's been saying ever since. So, but Appice is the real way the family pronounced it. If you go back and look at the correct Italian pronunciation, it's probably Appice or something like that. But Appice is how the family always said it. But of course, he goes by Appice. So here are all sorts of photos, and you get, there's a picture of him with Ozzy, Robert Plant, Rod Stewart and company. There's pictures with Cactus and Beck Bogart and Appice and the early Vanilla Fudge days and all that sort of stuff. So what do you get in this book? Well, I will say, if you like rock and roll memoirs that rely very heavily on the crazy side of the business. In other words, the sex and the groupies and more sex and some drugs. Oh yeah, and rock and roll. Okay, that's what you get in this book. This is probably the most hilarious memoir I've ever read. Carmine doesn't mince words here. At the end of the book, where he talks about his relationship with, God, I'm forgetting her name now. Hold on a second. I'll tell you in a second. The radio chick, right? Leslie Gold. So this is the person who he's been in a relationship now with a number of years. I think probably like 15 or 20, something like that. He talks very frankly, when they had a conversation, and she's like, so Carmine, how many women have you been with in your life? And they went and put together a spreadsheet just so they could figure it out, because Carmine had no clue. We're talking, and this is probably being pretty conservative, we're talking about 4,500 women who he has had sexual escapades with over the years. Pretty crazy, right? I don't know whether that beats Gene Simmons's, lofty numbers, but who knows? And you hear all sorts of stories in here, some of which are funny, some of which they're kind of out there. If you know all about the infamous Mud Shark episode from Seattle, from a Seattle hotel, all right, which, Frank Zappa did a song about, the guys in Led Zeppelin talked about. So here you had guys from Zeppelin and the Vanilla Fudge, all in this hotel in Seattle. The hotel overlooked like a little creek or a little river, something like that. It involved like a little shark, a mud shark that they caught with a fishing line, and a groupie, and all sorts of disgusting things. Well, if you've heard like various stories here and there, here you get it from Carmine, who was in the room when it happened, and it's pretty graphic, it's pretty gross, and so a lot of really graphic sexual stories in here with groupies and strange women and threesomes and all sorts of orgies and things like that. A lot of stories about, pot and hash smoking and being loaded here, there, and everywhere. you get lots of tales of Carmine's, times hanging out with John Bonham and Paul Stanley and, guys from all sorts of other bands. Ozzy Osbourne, the guys in Sabbath. I mean, it's just jam-packed with stuff from the brain of Carmine, right? It comes across, and it's very well written, and it comes across as if Carmine is sitting down next to you, and you guys are just sitting for a couple hours, and he's just letting the stories pour out. All right, maybe for some folks, not enough talk about the music. I think there's plenty of talk about the music, but it's more about this was my crazy life in rock and roll since like the mid-'60s. That's basically what this book is about. And it's a very fast read. You get all the backstory of his time spent in the Rod Stewart's band, his times working with Jeff Beck, and I mean all the crazy stuff, getting kicked out of Ozzy's band by Sharon Osbourne, all that stuff. King Cobra, Blue Murder, right? Guitar Zeus, all the little side bands. You got Tales from Cactus, just everything. His solo stuff, you name it, it's in here. Him meeting and hanging out with Buddy Rich and idolizing Gene Krupa and all this stuff. Meeting Frank Sinatra, right? And, Gregory Peck. And it's all in here. It's all in here. And it's amazing how he was able to cram all those years, 50 years of rock and roll into 235 pages. Yeah. It's a roller coaster ride. If you're, like I said, there's not a, you read a lot of rock biographies and you're kind of like, whoa, and there's stuff that's depressing and sad, right? And all these rock stars who, are lucky to be alive, and here's their horrific tale, right? Well, this is more like, I'm just a cool guy. I've been in a lot of cool bands. I've done a lot of hot chicks, and I've, smoked a lot of reefer, and made a lot of money, lost a lot of money, had 5 marriages, blah, 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 blah. That's what this book is about. It's just, and if you watched either of the interviews I did with Carmine, that's exactly how he's just a fun guy, and that's exactly how this book comes across. So if you haven't read it, check out Stick It. It's, he definitely stuck it in his life. So fun stuff, Ian Giddens helped put this book together. He also worked on the Nikki Sixx book, as well as I think he also worked on Rob Halvert's Confess, if I'm not mistaken. I remember talking to Rob about that. I'm pretty sure he said that then Ian helped him with his book as well. So check it out. Available now anywhere where you can get books. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course, we're on YouTube all the damn time. We'll see you guys later on tonight with the Hudson Valley Squares. So that's coming up just a few short hours. So we'll see you then. Have a good one. Bye-bye.